this problem has a lot going on. You've got, this function p as a function of time t. T is in years. We can see that's on the x-axis or t-axis. P is the population, and that's in millions, and that's on the y-axis. So they've plotted all of these years versus all of the populations. And our question is asking us to find the average rate of change. So again, I'm going to automatically think slope and write that down so that I don't forget. And then the slope of the population per year from 1800 to 2000, which means I'm not using all of these numbers. I'm going to the 1800s and using that data. So that's 1 point, the year versus the amount. All right, so this is in years. This is population in millions, or millions of people. And then do the same thing for the other data point that they want, the year 2000. So I circle 2000 and use that point. And again, it's year versus the other number, in this case population. So I'm going back to my average rate of change formula, which is slope, calling one point x1, y1, the other one x2, y2, and doing the y's over the x's. So my y's, 311.4 minus 5.3 over 2,000 minus 1,800. Right? Do the top by subtracting. Do the bottom by subtracting. Put in your unit label. So this is millions of people per year. Then do the division. So take 306.1 divided by 200, and you come up, when you round to 2 decimal places, 1.53 million people per year. You got to put the per year on there, because it's not just there was an increase of 1.53 million people, but it's 1.53 million people each year since the 1800s. So how I interpret that, I go back to that kind of general template that I had on the first question. I start out with on average, because each year it may not be exactly 1.53 million people. That may not be the exact number that's the increase. It may be a little more, maybe a little less, but on average it turns out to be about 1.53. I'm also going to put in the years that we're talking about. So between the years 1800 to 2000. Why is that important? Because if you picked 2 other years on that list, you wouldn't come up with 1.53 million people. It just so happens that between that time span, that's on average what the increase was. If you picked a different time span, it might be slightly different. So between those 2 given years, all right, now what happened? Well, it's positive, so something increased by 1.53 million people per year. So the population increased, or got bigger, or went up, however you want to say increased, by 1 point, and then just put your answer in, by 1.53 million people per year. Or each year, if you want to spell it out. So that means each year there was roughly an increase of 1.53 million extra people.